Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillahi wahdahu wa salatu wa salam ala man la nabi ba'dahu. Nabiyyuna Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa anna ma'ahum ila yawmiddin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh wa ba'd. We start by praising Allah, we glorify Him, we thank Him for all His favors and bounties to us. We thank God, Allah Almighty, for guiding us to Islam. We ask Him to grant us the full benefit of us coming together. We ask Him to give us His guidance, to confer His blessings upon us, send down as-sakina upon us, peace and calm and serenity. We ask Allah that He guides us in all our affairs, grants us the solutions to all and any problem that we might face in life. And life is full of challenges, as we know. We ask Allah that He graces us all with good conduct, mukarimul akhlaq, beautiful manners, inshallah, so that we are always pleasing to Him. And if Allah loves us, God likes us, then inshallah we know that we are doing well. But moreover, we know we'll be doing well also in another life after we've moved on from this earthly existence in the hereafter. So we ask Allah for His guidance, His nur, His light, His blessings, His barakah, and we ask Allah for al-nasr, help. We ask Allah for success or victory, if you like, al-fath. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that is good and protection against all that is evil. Welcome. My name, for those of you who might not know, is Manwar. M-A-N-W-A-R. Anwar is more common usually. Stick a meme in front, M, it becomes Manwar. Munawwar, many people confuse me and call me Munawwar because they refuse to acknowledge Manwar as a valid name. That's strange, but there you go. Maybe it is an unusual name. Maybe it should be Munawwar, but that's my name, Manwar. There's a Muhammad in front. But then everybody in my family has a Muhammad in the front, all the male members. So if you say Muhammad, then is that my father, grandfather, uncle, cousin? We're all Muhammads. We're all Muhammad M's. All the names are M's. It's a peculiar thing about my strange family. But here we have Ali as well. All of us are Ali. So Mr. Muhammad M. Ali applies to perhaps 30, 40 of us. You know, going back generations. All male members. I try to keep that pattern for my children, being a little bit mischievous and naughty. It's broken down. Alhamdulillah, at last that pattern has been broken. It's done a lot of good, I think, inshallah. That's me. Right. And I'm from Ipswich. A bit of introduction about myself, and then we'll get going, inshallah. It's the very first gathering, anyway. Can you hear me now? I mean, is that loud enough? The room is a bit echoey and spacious and nice and warm, but it is maybe acoustically not as sound or good as we might like it. But I think it's alright, isn't it? Yeah, sound-wise. Look, I live in Ipswich. Many of us have come from Ipswich today, and many of you have travelled to Ipswich before from Colchester, so you probably are broadly familiar with the style and content of these circles or classes. Okay, we do it every Saturday morning. My background, professional background if you like, is computers, but software engineering, not hardware. So I'm into had been into software engineering and so forth. I spent 25 years, if you like to say, cutting code, you know, just being a glorified programmer, basically. But you know, all sorts of posh titles behind it, but that's what it was, writing programs. So computers from Ipswich, Manwar. The country I was born is Bangladesh. Okay? So, to some people I am a Bangladeshi. I can read, I can speak Bengali. But I've lived in this country for about 40 years. So this is more like my home than Bangladesh. Okay? I have, mashallah, quwwata illa billah, 12 children. My eldest is 29, youngest is 7. That's it, that's all about me. So that makes me at least over 50 years old. Hence the body shape as it is. Yeah? So there you go, that's all about me. So 50 years age, 30 years in profession and teaching this kind of stuff. So, but that's really me. Alhamdulillah. What I propose to do is to get you all to introduce yourselves to everyone else, inshallah. We'll rub this off, okay? Just a bit, so we know, I'm sure we all know each other, but just to create a kind of a starter thing. I don't think very much will happen today. I hope it's still going to be useful. We do have a creche, don't we? Yeah, we've got two ladies helping out, so they can cope with at least another 10, 12 children easily. So the encouragement is there for mothers to bring children, toddlers, babies. We should be able to cope. Alright, so I'm going to start with the boys first, or the men. It will gradually stick in my mind after some period of time. But this is very important. I mention them not just for teaching this, because the class, my personality included, and the content, everything is geared towards certain goals and objectives. We want to achieve something. And in order for that to happen, these two elements are very important for us. We need to feel friendly and feel empathy and love and attachment, these kind of things, all these soft kind of things about one another. And for that to happen also we need to be frank, open, honest. So these are not marketing terms, it's not business school we are running. We are just people, but we are people who are trying to get on with each other. Moreover, we are people who are trying to get on with each other because we are, perhaps many of us are, Muslims in a religious kind of viewpoint or context. So these two are very, very important. Okay? So bear this in mind. We're going to take a break around about 3 o'clock, if that's agreeable, unless you want a break slightly before that. 3 o'clock, a nice break to have for 10-15 minutes. The sessions are between 2 till 4. We'll try and start as close to 2 o'clock as possible, inshallah, God willing. And we'll break about 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, so let's say 3. Yeah, 3 o'clock. Then try and restart again on the dot, 3:15, let's say. And 4 o'clock we are finished, half an hour to tidy up, those of us who stay behind, okay? So, as far as ground rules are concerned, there aren't very many, we set them. And what happened in Ipswich, and sometimes in other places, they just transpire, just come about through time and experience, they evolve. But one or two things we say from the beginning. One is we do, I mean, it may sound like I'm bit condescending or talking down, but I intend not to. We need to be respectful. Okay? Always. Why? Because we are open and we are warm, that means we are accommodating all types of people, and we want to. And that shouldn't happen by accident. It should happen by design. We want everyone to come, of any background, religion, political views. We just want us to be together as human beings, and then try to be better human beings. So we want to be respectful. We might hear comments, we might hear opinions given, we might even have challenges taken up or offered, which might provoke some of us, not all of us, some of us to feel not so calm anymore. But we still remain respectful. And that leads me to the second point. We are trying to be uncontroversial as well, which is very hard. If you can read my squiggly writing, uncontroversial. Okay. We're trying to be uncontroversial. What that means is, let's try deliberately to steer away the discussions, the topics, in such a way that we never end up getting bogged down in something controversial. You might say, well, God is controversial. Well, yes. Islam is controversial. Muslims are controversial. That's not what I mean. Within Islam, amongst the Muslims, sometimes we take positions about issues, and you might have a strong view about a certain position on an issue. Like the way we are sitting today. Some Muslims might feel, well, you should have a screen in between, or the girl should be at the back, or in a different room. You should have audio-video link. How come we're all together? How come I'm looking at you? I should have my eyes on all the time, and Issues. People take issues. Rightly or wrongly, they have opinions. We will be respectful, but we are trying to organize and run this open and warm, trying to be uncontroversial. So, if you, as a participant, or me as a participant, detect that an issue is like that, controversial, we want to, inshallah, tone it down and think of the bigger picture and the aims and objectives, which will become clearer as the days roll by. Okay? We want to attain faith. We want to come close to God. It's about brotherhood. It's about unity. It's about learning and feeling motivated to do righteousness, to be good. And being controversial may take away from that. Live bitter feelings, hard sentiments. So sometimes there will be things you will not agree with or cannot agree with. Then let us be brothers and sisters, be respectful, and think of the bigger picture, the aims and the goals, inshallah. Okay? That is why, before we started on Facebook, I put down 2 comments, didn't I? Some of you noticed it. That I must warn you, I want to say a warning, that if you're expecting this gathering to be of a certain ethnic background or style, it won't be so. Okay? I run it in the way I do, and not everybody agrees with it. And if you don't agree with it, then bear with it, and share your views, and just take what good can come from this, inshallah. So those are my only 2 ground rules. Do you have any ground rules that you would like for us to adopt? And just say so freely. I mean, it's just a conversation. Okay, there's another ground rule then. If you're not going to talk too much, if you're going to clam up, it has to be interactive. Yeah? We must talk. I'm not the expert. That's what I didn't like about the panel discussion on Thursday at Texas University. I mentioned it right at the end as well. We are not the experts. Some of us have certain expertise, but they're not in absolute terms. Do you have any preferences? Anything that you feel that as we go along and as we develop, I wish, I hope it's going to be like this or that? And just say so, How do I coax and winkle things out? It's like winkling somebody out of a bunker. My analogies will be coming. Inspiring. How do we make that a ground rule? Because you set that as a standard. So you're the most boring person I've ever met. You failed in the ground rules. So the first one out. Our hope is inspired. We ask Allah, we pray. We come with that heart, don't we? With a feeling that we are not to waste time. It's not to get together, have tea together or something. But we can do that at home as well. It should be something more meaningful. It should inspire us. And that's a very extremely important thing you said, because I remember telling the brothers last year, I went to this convocation ceremony, and Reverend Canon Peter Mortimer was there. So he's an advisor to the bishop on ecumenical matters. And he was on stage, and he said, and I said, that really struck me, because he looked at the audience and he said, "Who inspires you?" Do you remember? I mentioned it. Who inspires you? And my wife was sitting next to me, I said, I hope that mostly doesn't say Muhammad, peace be on him, because that's a ready-made answer. Really deep in your heart, what inspires you? Who inspires you? That's a very important thing. So I hope, as we go through these classes, we make it inspiring ourselves together. You can't if you're just staying quiet, can you? Unless it's like a Quaker meeting. Do you want to have it like a Quaker meeting? We all sit there quietly until one person suddenly says something inspirational. No, not quite, no. So it doesn't want to be like a Quaker meeting. At least we've got that clear through. Inspiring. We would like it to be inspiring. A ground rule. Yes. Supportive. MashaAllah. Thank you very much. See? Now, I would now ask a brother or a sister to volunteer to write these things down. And then he or she will type it up, email it to me, and I'll see if I can make a little poster or something. Even a handwritten one. I will stick it up on the wall. Isn't it? And occasionally, if things do break down, may Allah forbid, God forbid, we can always say, how is that supportive? How is that actually being respectful? Remind us. And that's very good. Because one of the reasons why I think I struck a chord, I'm going to say, what's carrying on? With Kerry, is because of the word empathy. Because Kerry identified that word empathy in one of our classes. And I was trying to sort of give that across, that we need to empathize more than just sympathize. And once empathy, that issue is sorted out in our lives as Muslims, believing in Allah and all that, but empathize, we become supporting. Okay? And Ghulam is sitting here now. He spent the whole night last night working at the Holy Trinity Church, looking after homeless people. And I just dropped in. Quite a few of us do that. He's not the only one, but he was there last night. So I just dropped in to just say hello to him. And there were 2 or 3 people who needed to be looked after because they were slightly merry, being in the streets and so on. And it can get a handful, it can get a little bit noisy, but people were so supportive. And the pastor was there, his name is Martin, and he's so supportive. And while coming down to this class today, in fact, we're talking about how some of us have grown to admire Christians because some of them are very supportive. We need to be more supportive, not as a competition, because we feel that we have believed in God in a cleaner or a purer or a more clinical manner. The oneness of God. Anything else? So this is very good, I think. And we'll try and build this into our classes as we go along, inshallah. Anything else? Can we make it 2 more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half a dozen.
I thought to say informative, but she's whispering.
Informative. It will not be unless we're interactive, yes. It needs to be informative. And that means we can talk about anything, and you can mention anything to enrich our lives. Something about childcare, something about drugs, something about warfare, something about, I don't know, anything. Art, literature, dancing, anything. But always remembering this is something sacred we are doing. We are trying to find ourselves, become more aware, understanding of Allah, God, in our lives as human beings on earth. So by being more conscious like that, inshallah, God willing, with His mercy, He's merciful, we find salvation. This is religious kind of bent to it, perspective to it all the time. But it has to be informative. Not like just a history program. A history program to learn morality perhaps. Like it used to happen when? In the 19th century. And especially during the Whiggish period, or the early liberals and whatnot. I mean, they used to do this. They used to teach history with a view to teaching morality or ethics. Okay? So it has to be informative. You can make even the topic of ballet dancing something of like an Aesop's fable thing. Teach some morality or something. Okay? Aesop. Who's heard of Aesop? 2, 3 only, 4. Only 4 people. Yeah, we're growing. I mean, we were grown up on Janet and John and Lady Bird books and Aesop's fables. But anyway, 1 more. Nothing from the men.
And non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental. Is that possible? It's very good. And from one of my recent Facebook comments, somebody's judging me that why I wrote something. So you know how I empathize with that non-judgmental thing. Welcome. But do you think it's possible to be non-judgmental? Is that a practicable?
Possible to try. Yeah.
Huh? It is?
It's possible to try and be non-judgmental.
It's possible to it?
To try.
To try. But we have to judge though, don't we? Otherwise we can't live life.
But
Judge in a sense, so we mean non-judgmental in a certain sense. Like if you're going to buy eggs, large size or the free range, we're judging something, or which colour shall I use on the board? Same with people. We don't want to be prejudiced, we don't want to be unjust, we don't want to label and then take dignity or respect away from people or insult. So when we say non-judgmental, we want the truth. Yeah, we do want the truth. According to the Quran and the Sunnah, but let's not be judgmental. No, I agree with you, I'm going to write it down, but be non-judgmental. I'm saying it's not a blanket, absolute thing, non-judgmental. It has to happen. Some judgment has to happen.
I mean, in sort of the terms of like non-judgmental of people. Because everything else, you have to sort of make a judgment if you will take on board the information or not. But we shouldn't sort of judge people as they come in and think, oh, I'm better than that person because I'm better.
Or assume something from a mistake as if that defines the person's character.
Yeah.
Or even like now, my mouth is getting very dry. So if you assume, oh, he's nervous, maybe I am. I was before I came. I'm not anymore. But I'm diabetic. So I get thirsty because of my blood sugar perhaps. So my mouth was parched dry on Thursday night. And I was like swallowing. Not because I was nervous. It's just blood sugar level. Something like that. So we can't judge him and say, oh, he's so nervous. He's supposed to be. No, he's ill. Could be like that. Yeah? Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Non-judgment. Alhamdulillah. And Livon's got the hint. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. Can you, okay, let's launch into something a bit more meaty. Can you think of a tradition from the Prophet, peace be on him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Anybody write this down? Were you writing them down, Rina? Okay, you want. What was I going to say? I've forgotten now, you see. You judge me to be a senile man. Huh? A tradition, but why? Regarding what?
From the Prophet.
Yeah, but what was it in relation to?
Can you think of the tradition from the Prophet? That's what we said.
Yeah, I know. I said that.
What did the readers like?
What did I say? It's gone. It's going to escape me anyway.
Oh.
Jazakallah khairan. Okay, let's escape me. It was something there and just gone. Alhamdulillah.
You said you wanted it more meaty, and then
Yeah, because I was going to ask you to guess or think of in line with something, and that what it was, it's gone. Because the water thing distracted me. Thank you. I'll have a break.
Can I guess anyway? Beliefs are like bricks in the wall, one strength than the other.
I wasn't thinking of that, but that's very good. If I want to draw bricks, how do I draw them now?
No, that's that. Ultimate.
I was going to ask the little ones.
Oh.
You're young at heart as well. How do I draw bricks? Do you know?
Just little squares.
Do you want to do it? Come on. Draw me a brick wall. Okay? I've got the rows, you make the bricks now. Yeah, and then. So we can all learn something from everybody, don't we? That is a very well designed, well crafted, nicely done brick wall. Well done, Jazakallah khair, thank you. Do we have any other designs? Does anybody else want to have another go? Another type of wall? There can be different types of walls, can't there? That's one type of wall. And this is going to lead on to something important, inshallah. That is one. That's well done. Very good. That's very well done. Thank you. A wall? Another kind of wall? Brick pattern? How about you? Red or black? Go on, here's a... We can have a green as well if you want. Or red. Let's draw a wall. But different from that. Different. It'll still be a wall, but it's different. Okay. Alright, that's one row. And what will the next row be? The bigger, broader bricks, yeah? Okay, well done. Okay, similar, but it's slightly different, isn't it? It looks more like a stone wall. Very good, well done, thank you. One more. Hat trick. Okay, go on. Look, 3 different walls. Hopefully, make it different, yeah? If not, then Leon can have a go after this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, mashallah. That's another very nicely done wall. Yeah, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. You know, Islam, understanding Islam is pretty much like that. Pretty much like that. Because you can say that people are interpreting, they are designing in their mind and then expressing it on paper or board, the diagram of what's in their mind, the idea, the concept of a wall. These 3 are all walls. It is possible to have walls like that. Doesn't matter how strong or weak, you can have walls like that, can't you? You can. And all of them are walls. And you can argue which one is better. Is that stronger? Is that look more pretty? Is it better? That's just discussions about merits. Same thing happens with Islam when we say we follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you understand now? Of course you do. That we will have different interpretations of how to organize our lives according to Quran and Sunnah. And you quoted that. It's the Quran as well. Allah loves. كَأَنَّهُمْ بُنْيَانٌ مَرْصُوصٌ. Allah loves that believers rally down together, stand together, and then face problems and challenges as if they are a solid wall. But it doesn't tell you how to be that wall. And I think my wall is like this. He thinks that wall is like that, and she thinks the wall is like that. And all 3 are acceptable and valid to Allah. Because what happened behind it all was the intention, wasn't it? The intention. Anybody know, not the Arab sisters, not Sister Wafa, anybody know intention, a posh and a formal word for intention in Arabic, or so-called Islamic word for it? Niyyah. Niyyah. Could be irada, could be qasd, but niyyah is the most common. Yeah. So intention is very, very important. Our intention is to be like a wall, inshallah, in terms of unity, brotherhood, warmth, openness. We are strong together in that way, and we are respectful. And the 6 things we wrote down, we'll try and put them up on a wall, up on this wall, one of these, on a wall, inshallah. But that's what differences come along. Now, this seems very basic, doesn't it? It's like, wow, are you teaching kids? Are you mocking us as our intelligence? No, hopefully you don't think that. None of you think that. We're just trying to have gentle ease into it. But it leads to another very important point about this circle, or this class. The second point I had made on Facebook as a warning, one warning was about don't expect the discussions, the content, the style to be in line with any particular ethnic tradition. It might be very different, might be what you expect. Second thing was, it is going to be very basic. It's simple. It's not for those who have read the book inside out and then come and say, Sheikh, whoa, and then not for this reason. You already know too much in that case, mashallah. Why are you wasting time there and spoiling our fun? And if you want to learn, then open a class yourself and we'll all go to your class. Don't come here and spoil it. So you'll find my classes are very, very basic, down to earth, fundamental, but they are based on the sources. You can question, you should question. We do offer advice, it's interactive, but it's not for those who say, that's too simple. If it's too simple, it's too simple. It's almost like ABC. And that's what I have reduced myself to after 30 years, as I said, messing about. I was speaking to Michelle on the way down. It's like, that's what happens. There's a difference, the Father Paul Keane, wasn't he? And on he said something about knowledge, do you remember? That's what I've been explaining to Michelle. Father Paul Keane was part of the panelists, one of the panelists rather, and he said something about knowledge. And he said knowledge you can get from Wikipedia. Go on the internet, you can find knowledge. And that really stuck with me because that's what I've been trying to say for the last so many years. But there's a difference between that and wisdom. Universities are supposed to teach wisdom. Teachers are supposed to pass on wisdom. And sometimes grown-ups, elders, people of experience, they pass on wisdom. And they can't be technical, and they can't give you all the formula and mathematics and the logical deductions behind it. They know it from life. So your parents might tell you, wear your shirt going out into cold and rain. Wear a shirt. I'm not cold. No, wear a shirt. You don't want to come home sneezing. It's wise. Then you come home and sniffling away. Well, there's no need for medical explanation. Get a big thick book out and give you all the reference about germs and things. No, it's wisdom. You expose yourself to the elements like that, you're bound to catch a cold. Parental wisdom. And I hope after what I do is I can inject some wisdom. Okay. Do you have, let me ask you very frankly, do you have problems with extremism in Colchester? Not aware of it at all. Nobody advocating violence or expressing in a hot way political views about.
I think there's one family where two sons have moved to Yemen, but
okay. Yeah, there are some Muslims who say you can't live in a non-Muslim country. It is compulsory for you to migrate to a Muslim country. That's their view. Some scholars support that view. We have gone through that in detail. So, if you have issues like that, again, I can perhaps contribute to that discussion. If you have about hijrah and being amongst the non-Muslims, there are issues about how much or how little we should be integrating with non-Muslims. Again, perhaps I think all of us can contribute to that from our experience and knowledge, and those two come together to form wisdom. Experience and knowledge. Experience is important. Just by reading, you never get wisdom. Reading and practicing, you might get wisdom. So it could be that. It could be about more radical stuff. Okay, so right from the beginning, I did mention this in Ipswich as well, Quaker House, when I started. Unfortunately, 2 years later, a conference was held in Leicester, and one of the ladies from that circle, she actually took a Shahada in that circle as well. 2 years later, she found me saying the same thing at the conference speech and stopped coming to the circle, saying, "Oh, I don't want to get mixed up with such characters like me." She's changed her mind since then. And what was it? I have combat experience. I have fought in Afghanistan. So I'm what you might call one of those ex-radicals. Okay? So I say right from the start, I have a jihadi, mujahideen background for 15 years. Okay? I've raised money, I've gone for training, I've sent people for training and fighting, and I've fought in Afghanistan, Kashmir, Burma, and have a lot of connections with Bosnia and Chechnya as well. Yes, the police are interested, and I do communicate with them. I don't work for them. Alright? So if you want to run away now, there you go. So I can take part, I can contribute meaningfully to such things, such topics as well. Basic. Any questions? 2:45. Are we okay so far? What do we do in Ipswich? Shall we do the same thing here? What I don't want this to become is a complement to Ipswich. So you come here and you go there. This has to start from scratch, from the beginning, for people who are local. And as time goes on, most of those who are from Ipswich will not be coming here. They came initially to support, to set up and so on. Hopefully this will grow, inshallah, and take its own shape and form depending on how you make, what you make of it. Inshallah, yeah? What we do in Ipswich, which I would like to retain unless you advise me otherwise, is in the beginning, morning session, we read a portion of the Quran. And today I did the same thing, just in case, open at random. And normally, 99% of the time, that's what we're going to read. We just read a section, not make it too long, 3, 5, 7 verses at most. And we all listen in a calm manner, we concentrate, and then we reflect. We try to feel the meanings of the words. And then we all contribute in discussing what have we understood. What was the feeling when we read it, heard those words. If I was to be stopped in the street now, somebody asked me, "Well, what were you doing? We went to an Islamic class. What did you do?" "Well, we just read a bit of Quran." "So what was the Quran telling you then?" Spontaneous reaction. Nothing, no quotation. It's not about chapter, verse. This classical scholar said and that companion said. No. We read the translation. What's stuck in your mind? So we'll list 3, 4 of those things and talk about those. Sometimes that breaks out of a tangent and becomes a mini lecture. And I support it with other quotations. Tea break, coffee, biscuit, whatever. Then we go into hadith or some other topic. That's what we do. Does that sound like a good plan? Plan? It does. Aren't you bored already? Are you enjoying this? That's very good. I wish my sons and daughters would come. Beginning they did, and they stopped coming. But anyway, there you go. More into Game Boy. They never met Game Girl. Yeah? That's a good plan, yeah? Sounds like a plan. I ain't got no plan. Okay. Tina Turner was that one who said that ain't got no plan. Right. I've got serious things now, inshallah, to do. We've got about 10 minutes left. When we do hadith, okay, we're going to read a bit of Quran in the morning, next time, inshallah, reflect. From that might come other issues. We're going to, inshallah, after tea break, do a bit of hadith. For hadith, normally, I go through this book. I want to ask you, did you have a particular book in mind? It's very basic, very simple. But hadith is hadith. What the Prophet said, peace and blessings of God be upon him, is what he said. It applies till the end of time. So you might find this in a nice, colourful English book like this. You might find it in a dusty Arabic classical book, thick in a shelf somewhere else. The same hadith. Okay? But it's a collection. So I go through this one, the Prophet's Garden, published by the Islamic Foundation. We are aiming to finish it. 1, 2, 3, talk about it and just feel what it told us. Is that a good selection? There's 40 hadith of Nawawi. Or you might suggest something else. Is that okay? Or do you want to suggest something else?
It's good.
You haven't finished it?
You can go over it.
Yeah. 40 hadith, have we finished it? Have we
Go over
finished
again,
it?
inshallah.
Have we finished it though? Yes, we have, haven't we? Qudsi as well? Oh, right. Okay. And we finished the other one, isn't it? The fifth one. Yeah, 5 pillars. We left off the Hajj, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be the book. If you want to buy this, it is a bit costly, but I could try and get one for you. The reason I'm asking is because it would be nice if people actually had a copy of this for their homes. And the wonderful thing is, I mean, people like those who speak Arabic and so on, the Arabic is there as well, which helps. Don't have to. This class is in English, and I try to avoid Arabic as much as possible. The little that I know, even that I don't try to show off. Alright? It is English. We're in England. We speak English. We want to learn Islam, being a Muslim in England, as English-speaking Muslims. Arabic is important. God revealed the Quran in Arabic. It is not the Quran except in Arabic. But we want to do everything in English. Okay? Does that make sense? That's not too radical. That's the book. Okay. So we'll be going through this, inshallah. What's next? So after tea break, we will. Shall we have tea break now then?
Yeah.
Shall we break now? Yeah. Anybody else wants to second that? There you go. As our tea break, it's no point starting something like 5 minutes early. Take a 15 minutes. Thank you for coming back and re-attending. Let's start our next session. Again, we start by praising Allah, by glorifying Him, by thanking Him and seeking His help and guidance in all our affairs. We ask Allah to bestow peace from His presence upon us. We ask the angels to surround us. We ask Allah that He orders the angels to pray for us, because that's what He has promised will happen behind the scene when we get together. Alhamdulillah. Okay, in the first part it was very slow going, but we eased ourselves in through introduction. We mentioned a few ground rules, and that has been captured. 6 things we wrote down, which we shall remind ourselves by having a poster made out of something we'll hang on the walls for next time, inshallah.
I think we have some new participants during the break, so maybe they can introduce themselves.
Oh, we had some new participants during break time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Asad, yes. And friends with one another. We try to be as little prejudiced as possible. I don't know if we can be absolutely non-prejudicial, but we try not to be prejudiced. And myself in particular have a strong kind of a connection with Christianity, I suppose. Not because I converted from that faith, but because I work very closely with them. And I know the bishop, and I know some of the reverends and fathers and so forth. And I have very good understanding of Christianity and admiration for that. So that makes it easier to get on better. And there's one particular rabbi I like, not that because you're a convert, I happen to pick on Jews or something, Jewish rabbi, but there's one I really adore. His name is Menachem Froman from Israel, and I love him because he actually wants peace with the Palestinians. He actually goes to Gaza and helps to restore mosques which have been desecrated by perhaps settlers. And he has a small group of people, followers, and I'm friends with them on Facebook, so I do have good relations with them. There's a jihadi Jew, another rabbi in New York, and we get on very well, and I often retweet his tweets. Yeah, jihadi Jew, and he's actually a proper rabbi. It's so nice, mashallah. And
How many friends have you on Facebook?
on Facebook, how many friends have I got? I'm being very, very rude or heartless nowadays. I'm gradually snipping out all the Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi ones. Because I have almost reached 5,000. So I'm just controlling at 4,700. And as soon as I discover Pakistan or something, off you go. No, it's not quite heartless like that, but I'm limiting. I've got about 200 waiting to become my friends, of which 199 are non-English or British.
But people can subscribe to you.
Yeah, but I haven't created that page which you can like yet, so I'm not. Anyway, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we have come together for the sake of Allah, inshallah ta'ala, for the sake of Allah, to share knowledge and ideas. Remarkably, for the first few times you will get notes given out to you. So you don't have to write anything down. So I've brought 20 copies with me. Alright? To share knowledge in order to become closer to one another as Muslims, inshallah. But we don't have to be Muslims. And secondly, because it's a blessed thing to do. We need to remember this. It is to purify ourselves, our hearts and souls. It is to become better people or less sinful, inshallah. Now I wrote down 4 things. Why is it important for us to sometimes come together like this? And when we do prayer at home, we can go to the mosque, and we attend other events and so forth. Maybe it's not so important, but I wrote down 4 reasons why I felt coming together like this, informally, and looking at Islamic knowledge based on revelation is important. Let me just take one from this side, one from that side, and then quickly go through my 4, and yours might coincide with what I wrote down. So one reason why you might think it's important to gather together to discuss Islam. One reason. I might have captured it, or you might give something new.
To remember that, to refresh our faith.
Okay, alhamdulillah, remember, to refresh, to remind. As Dr. Zahir said, we all need reminding. And that's actually from the Quran. Believers always benefit from reminding. The Quran we're reading over and over again, the same thing. You can't say, I read it once, that's it, done for life. It's to be read every day. So reminding. One from this side, yes.
To clear any misconceptions.
To clear misconceptions. And I did not put that down. See, that's something which we want to do. I will hold you to ransom. Because you suggested it, if you are aware of any misconceptions about Islam or Muslims, I would like you to raise it besides others. In the class, not today. So it becomes something we discussed. When we say clear misconceptions, it means we can do it. We might not be able to. And sometimes it is possible, inshallah it will not happen, I might actually add more to the misconception, make it even more confusing. Alright? But our aim is to do that, clear misconceptions. I put down because most of the time, what happens around us, what we do, what we say, the stuff around us, do not support the faith. So pretty much what you say, remind ourselves. It does not purify us, the normal life that we live. We want to slightly disconnect from that to come back to, as it were, the mode of being in a sacred space. Secondly, some parts of life even make us forget about God and the hereafter. It doesn't have to be something outside. It could be me in the kitchen cooking and I've totally forgot. I'm so engrossed in cooking, getting ingredients, making a nice meal. The thought of God and hereafter never occurred to me. It's almost artificial to do that. Okay? Why did I give the analogy of cooking, or the example of cooking?
To eat.
Huh?
We have to eat.
No, because I cook at home. Point information for you. I am the cook at home. Alright. Number 3. The straight path is a path of righteousness. Okay? Doing good. Righteousness. That's a big word, righteousness. But doing good, any good. And what did the mayor say? Madame Mayor. In the opening ceremony at this university. Goodness. Something about goodness and the good people. We want to just admire and be with good people. We want to do good, worship, and be fair with everyone and everything. Okay? That is a straight path. So together as a community, as brothers and sisters, people of common kind of motivation, we want to do these kind of things. Worship, or be good, and be fair to everyone and everything. That's a big thing. Everyone and everything. And finally, it helps us to remember, as a community, that's the thing, it's not individually, about Allah's favours, God's favours. So sometimes what happens in Ipswich, it will happen naturally, spontaneously. We start to recount, something that went wrong, how I was saved kind of thing. Nothing dramatic sometimes, but it just makes us think. How we are gifted in so many ways. I have 100 problems, but I have 200 benefits. And if I am complaining about 5 things, I could praise God for 20 things, perhaps innumerable things. Okay. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma That sounds foreign, doesn't it? What does that mean?
Yeah.
People who speak Arabic, I'm sorry, you will know the answer, won't you? Actually, you'll know many times the answer better than I would do. Then I will ask you. You'll be my mentor in Arabic. So, somebody who doesn't know Arabic, and then anybody who doesn't know Arabic can suggest? No. Then you tell us.
And Umar radiallahu anhu means that Umar and his son radiallahu anhu,
What is radiyallahu anhuma? What is that
means
expression?
that, peace be upon them, or may Allah
Rida? What's Rida? Rida? What's Rida?
Pleased.
Yes. Happiness, pleasure. May Allah's pleasure, may Allah be pleased with you.
yeah.
So as you said, peace. That's what it is. Why are we saying that? Because Omar was, radiyallahu anhu, was a companion, a disciple, a great companion of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him. And out of respect, we are learning to be respectful. Without the right attitude towards God and His Prophet and the people surrounding him, we can't really be respectful to what they gave us as well. So it's a term of respect and prayer and wish that Omar and his son, both were companions, great people, noble people. May God be pleased with them. So it's a formula we utter. You don't have to. It's not compulsory. It's good to. But certainly we are very strongly encouraged to say, Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's long. You can say short. Alayhi salat wa salam. If you don't know, we'll learn one day. It's not a problem. But we are strongly encouraged because the Prophet did say, peace be on him. Or say in English, peace be on him. He said that when anyone hears my name mentioned and does not actually say that, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, then he is somewhat of a miser, bakhil, a miser person, tight-fisted and not very generous. Okay? So we're strongly encouraged. Now, so Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is a very serious part, this is actually a quotation from a hadith. Okay, hadith, that's another word. And we take it right down to basics, we always do. We'll discuss that a bit later, just a short discussion on what is hadith. The Prophet, peace and blessings of God be upon him, said, no people sit in a gathering without remembering Allah in it, except, it's slightly not straightforward, this sentence. No people sit in a gathering without remembering Allah in it, except that they will see sorrow or grief on the Day of Judgment. And the source is given. Where is it taken from? So it seems whenever we gather and we sit and talk or enjoy like a pastime, it's just having a bit of frivolous chit-chat. But it so happened that when we got together and we did not remember Allah or praise Him or call to mind, it will count against us. It will be contributing to some difficulty for us. And we do that most of the time. Normally, naturally, in most of our team meetings, office meetings, meeting of surgery or something, we're not sitting there talking and remembering. But actually Muslims do, because we meet each other for a team meeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Remembered God, mercy of God. We have remembered a little bit. So in some way, this mercy of Allah operates through the etiquettes He has given us on behavior. We start to eat a dinner party. We're just going to spend 1 hour sitting in a restaurant eating whatever. Not going to discuss religion and God, but we did say Bismillah before eating, didn't we? Some of us even said Alhamdulillah. Oh, mashallah, that's very tasty. 1 or 2 words we used, we had remembered Allah. So it's not as severe as it sounds. But a large part of our lives we do spend sometimes in getting together, playing football, whatever we do, or Game Boy, and we don't remember Allah. And they can be troublesome for us on the Day of Judgment. And I quoted that because this is what this is about. To compensate for that, here we are, purposefully gathered to remember Allah. That's what this circle is about. Okay? So the hadith, go back to the hadith, the tradition, the narration from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, that Ibn Umar narrated. No people sit in a gathering, it applies to every people. No people means every people, it happens. In a gathering without remembering Allah, except they will see sorrow or grief on the Day of Judgment. Even though nothing happens now, there will be an effect of it in the next life. Muslims, through common etiquettes of behavior taught by the Prophet, almost as it were automatically saved or protected. Because we said Bismillah to start to eat with, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, when we met each other. But it's even better if we said more things during it. So if we want to be at peace with ourselves and have contentment without losing the spirit of ambition, not to become sitting and lazy and so on, we need to relax in Islam. And that's the point of the first page. Then I wrote down 3 things. Allah is creator. We know that, don't we? Allah is creator. Allah is provider, isn't He? He provides. Only God grants, God gives growth to plants, God gives life, God makes the sun to shine, God pours the rain from the sky or causes the weather cycle to happen. So it's all God doing it all. Through the agency of or not, God does. God provides. God creates. Then what do we want to do? God is also the lawmaker. He gives the do's and the don'ts. Don't eat this, or you must do that. Pray to me 5 times a day. So He's also, you can say, a ruler. King. He is, of course, of the universe. Of all the planets and anything that exists. What is missing? We know, many people know God as King of Kings, of all of creation. Many people know God gives life and He's the originator and creator. Many people know that God provides. What's missing?
Mercy.
Mercy. What does He do with His mercy?
Accepts our
He gives it out.
He showers us with it.
Okay, showers it, gives it envelopes and wraps. What's happening? That means what?
He gives us things.
He
He provides.
Is that the first one?
He gives us things? No, it's almost
No,
like
what did He say?
the forgiveness.
Forgiveness. He's the only one who forgives sins. The only one who can forgive sin is Allah. No Imam, not even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. No Prophet, no angel, no Archangel Jibreel alayhi salam. Archangel Gabriel, peace be on him, cannot. Let alone lesser beings. Some holy man or a holy woman, saint. No. Only Allah forgives. So, our religion, Islam, is all about worshipping Allah in His oneness, knowing that He is indeed the incontestable ruler. He is the only one who originates out of nothing, al-Fatir. And He is the creator. He is the one who provides, undoubtedly. But we must remember, we worship Him because we need His forgiveness. He provides for sinners as well. He's a ruler of all, whether you like it or not. He creates without consulting us. But this one, I have to do something on my part. I have to turn to Him. And that means I have to recognize Him in truth. And I have to then grow fond of Him. Somehow come near to Him through thinking or feeling good about God. And that's what this learning is all about. So here is now another hadith. So 4 things I've mentioned. All 4 things are important. Most people make mistakes regarding this in worship. Who can elaborate on that a little bit? Mistake in worship. Well, the intention is good. What do we mistake in worship? How can we make a mistake in worship which needs God's forgiveness?
They do what?
No, here.
Probably they do things and they say, Allah will forgive.
Okay, a glib kind of happy-go-lucky attitude. God forgives, doesn't He? He's loving, so yeah, careless, kind of. A bit more than that, a bit more deeper than that.
we've done things incorrectly or not according to the Sunnah.
Well, we just didn't know.
Yeah. So we need Allah to forgive us for our shortcomings.
Will God forgive you for, will God punish you or consider you sinful for mistakes? Does He?
If we
No.
should,
No. Mistakes are mistakes. Forgetfulness is forgetfulness. Something done in a moment of insanity or just having lost consciousness, fallen asleep or being drunk even. Yes, seem to have become drunk as a Muslim, but while being in a state of drunkenness, I'm not sinful doing whatever I do. Which is weird, but alhamdulillah. I only get the sin of having drunk. But then after that, the next few hours, if I'm drunk and did stupid things, I'm not guilty of anything. Which is from the mercy of God.
If we don't ask for forgiveness.
Yes, you're all right. I'm just a little bit too pedantic. Yeah, Asad, you want to say?
I don't think I understood the question.
Yeah.
Is it to do with...
Somebody teach me English.
Is it the fact that forgiveness... There's certain things you can't... For example, associating partners with God, you can't forgive.
Look at that Bengali reaction. Shirk. It's shirk. Associating partners. We make a mistake in worship by associating partners with Him, no matter how noble the intention behind it. Okay. That's what entails God's forgiveness. I need God to forgive me for worshipping Him with shirk, giving partners to Him, associating something with Him. Jazakumullah khairan Asad. So shirk I was looking for. So you did understand the question, you gave the correct answer. That's why these four things are important. So most of us sometimes don't pay enough attention to this element because we are a little bit slipshod about Tawheed. It's opposite. Tawheed. The oneness of Allah. Okay, I'm going to write it with one I, not E-E, because E-E and that kind of spelling is not really conventional. It's the, I'm going to say the S word, never mind. So Tawheed is opposite of shirk. This is what we want, we don't want that. We don't want to give partners to God. We want to worship God in His oneness. So when we don't pay enough attention to this topic of the oneness of Allah, we can end up spoiling even our worship, prayers and fasting, which may in turn then require God's forgiveness. So if I have to get worship correct, it's not about law all the time. I could be the one championing the cause for Islamic law or something, but have shirk in my worship. What was the point of it? Even giving my life for the Islamic State or something, some people talk like that. Why? So that you can go to hell? He's never got that, because he did that, shirk. Sounds a bit rough the way I'm explaining it, but that's how it is, inshallah, broadly speaking. So the next page, very quickly, talks about hadith. And I have, inshallah, a nice section there. So let's see if you know what we know about hadith. That is, hadith is hadith. Who can tell me in their own language? I'm not looking for a technical definition, please. We want to stay away from jargon and definition, except where we have to pick up certain vocabulary. Hadith. We'll come across it a lot of time. It almost becomes like an English word to us. That's why we want to know what is hadith. Somebody in your own language, if you know it, say it, like you explained, radiallahu anhu, or huma. A narration. But be a bit more elaborate, because normally, my writing is very uphill, but ambitious. Narration.
Something that Prophet Muhammad said.
Jazakallah khairan. Okay. A hadith is something that the Prophet Muhammad said. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anything else?
He did.
Something that he did. A report about what he did. Anything else?
Didn't do.
Didn't do.
Or did not do when he had the option. Okay. Anything else?
Didn't say.
Didn't say. Very good. Didn't say. Because something might have happened in his presence. He's fully aware, the context tells us so. He's sitting there, something gets done or said, and he remains silent. That silence in itself is a hadith because it shows he approved. Because if it was religiously incorrect, he was duty-bound to correct it, not stay silent. So if I was in front of the Prophet, peace be on him, and I said something, and it's wrong according to Islam, he was duty-bound to correct it there and then. So his silence can be hadith. Anything else? Said, did not say. That's not, by the way, yeah? People should know that by now. $1 now. said, not said, did, not did, report, okay, did, not did. Bad English, you know. But anyway, one more thing. Oh, mashallah. Well done. That's very good. Well spotted, Miss Holmes. Yeah, Hadith puts a special category. Allah said something, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, knows it, but he says it in his own words, without making it part of the Quran. So,
From Allah.
but he's saying, the Prophet is saying, Allah said,
Yeah.
in his own words. It's not the Quran, not Qudsi. But it can still come under something that the Prophet said, after all. There's something he said, did not say, whether from Allah or from himself. Something he did or did not do. There's one more thing left.
Physical characteristics.
Physical characteristics. Description. He was tall or short, or his hair was like that, or he combed it that way, or he walked fast, or sat in a certain posture. All of this is hadith. So that's what hadith is. Okay, so now we know hadith can mean anything somebody said. You know, if I say something, you can say, man was hadith. But normally in religion, in Islam, we confine it to the Prophet. Peace be on him. Not too long on this anymore. And then in the notes, which I don't want to go through, it tells you about some hadith can be fabricated, some can be deemed to be weak, some to be strong. There is criterion for checking, method, science behind it, people are intelligent, all sorts of factors. One day we can, if you want, we can actually go through the entire course they do in Medina, Kulliyat al-Sharia or Da'wah in Medina University on hadith methodology, Istilah al-Hadith or Mustalah al-Hadith. We can do that. Now that's getting irrelevant, completely irrelevant to our needs in England, forget about Colchester. But that's enough to know that. We're not trying to become hadith scholars. We just want to know hadith is important. Now let's go. I've got 7 points, so you can quickly go through them, inshallah. We're rushing it now. Number 1. Let me ask you. If I asked you, because we as Muslims need to know some things very clearly, and if it's not clear, inshallah, it has to become clear. And if it takes 10 years to become clear, we will be in the process of making it clear for 10 years then. Then we're on the right track. Why do we exist? What's the reason for living? Worship Allah. Who wants to support that or detract from it? Support. You want to support it? Well done. You're like Ali radiallahu anhu. Youngest member. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. You know it. Allah has said in the Quran, and I, Allah, created not the jinn or mankind except that they should worship me. So Allah created us all. I think we all knew the answer. I've said this before in other classes. And if I asked you, what's 2 plus 2? You're sitting there thinking, must be a trick question. It's not, it is 4. I think most of us, if not all of us, knew the answer anyway. Allah created all of us to worship Him. The point is, I need to understand what is worship. How do I balance worship with mundane or earthly stuff? Is there a balance, or is everything worship? Can everything become worship? What are the obligations, what are not? What's optional? Do I have a choice? That's a lifelong thing. But there are some basic requirements, but we know the answer. And we should never allow anything to forget that. We are living, breathing, hearts are beating, blood is coursing through our veins and arteries because we are created to worship Allah in oneness. I need to worship Allah. And that's in the Quran. Second point. These are 7 fundamental points we will take with us, keep with us in our hearts till we die, inshallah. Loyal to them, without getting confused. If ever we become slightly confused, we remove it. We don't allow any doubts to creep into these 7 points we're making today. The world, and from various perspectives, will try to create doubts about these things. It could be my lifestyle, it could be a film I've watched, it could be my friends. These are 7 things I will not allow myself to become derailed about. Okay, second point. Every prophet came with a core message. What was that? Every prophet ever to be, known, unknown, controversial or not, that includes within them Jesus Christ, peace be on him, alayhi salam, or Abraham, peace be on him, Noah, peace be on him. And they were the best, prophets were the best of people, weren't they? It's not a silly question, because in our panel discussion, what did you hear? Somebody in the panel said, Noah was a drunkard. We refuse to accept that. You know, it's a polite way of denying that. We will try to be polite, but refuse to accept it. Because if you and I can be teetotalers, it's even more possible for a prophet of God to be a teetotaler. So it's not to show human frailty or to show that we can suffer from weaknesses and get hope. You can interpret in many different ways, but they start off thinking that a prophet can be drunk and say so in public, we cannot accept it. Okay? So something about all the prophets, including Jesus Christ,
They would give the same message that
there's only one God. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونَ. And we did not send any messenger before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We did not send any prophet before you, but we inspired to him. إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ. The wahi was given to that person. That there is أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. There is no one who has the right to be worshipped except Allah. فَعَبُدُونِي. Therefore worship me. So every single prophet ever to be, named, unnamed, known, unknown, our assumption, our belief, our conviction is they all preached, regardless of the controversies surrounding them, they all preached the oneness of God, said we should worship Him. With that mind, I will ask you, I will encourage you to read the Gospels. It will not shake you. So I read the Gospels and they confirmed Tawheed for me. Because I'm interpreting with my prejudice, if you like. Third point. All nations of the earth have received this message. There's not a single people left. And we don't mean Pakistan and Gibraltar and France and England. I mean, these are separate entities carved out of geographic space. Have a lot of politics behind it, the concept of the state and all that. We're not talking about modern nation states. Nations in terms of people, until all people have been covered. All people have been addressed. So, as the Quran says, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ حَقَّتْ عَلَيْهِ الضَّلَالَةُ فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Indeed, we have sent amongst every ummah nation, every people. If there was such a people as Egyptian race, then there must have been sent one, whether I know of it or not. Or the Mongoloid race, or the Chinese people. Whatever constitutes people, ummah, nation, in that sense. We have sent amongst every ummah, people, a messenger proclaiming أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ, worship Allah alone, and reject all other deities. وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. All other contenders, false deities, gods, reject it. So every nation has been given this core message, and every prophet ever to be gave this core message. And we should remember that no matter what we face in life. Sounds a bit strict now, doesn't it? A bit more serious, but this is it. Because, you know, I had a nikah ceremony last night, and it's typical of a nikah that you do khutbatul haja, something, you know, just common to do. And one of the chapters, one of the verse you read is from Surah Ali Imran, the 3rd chapter. And in that chapter it says, make sure, absolutely make certain, to the fullest of your capability, that you do not end this life except in a state of submission to Allah. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Yeah? So it is a bit harsh and sounds strict. It's my responsibility. So despite everything, I want to make sure I can never ever compromise these things. Worship Allah alone, avoid false gods. Then of them some were guided by Allah, and some of them were those upon whom the straying was justified. They chose to stray and keep on straying and turn their backs and not use their hearts or their minds to consider. So Allah left them to stray, and they were confirmed in their path of straying. So travel through the earth, فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ, and see what was the end of those who were liars or given to falsehood or didn't want to accommodate the truth. You judge. Judge. Point 4. Almost 10 minutes left. No one is exempt from worship. So this is very important. No one. Not the prophet, not the so-called saint, not the holy man, not the greatest scholar on earth. Not because someone has made an awful lot of sacrifice, done lots of benevolent work in society. Everybody is equally obliged to carry out the fundamental worship. 5 daily prayers, Hajj, Zakah, fasting. Because why am I stressing that? Why? Who doesn't know that? Who didn't know that? Everybody knew that. So why am I stressing this? We all knew that nobody is exempt from worship. So why was I so crazy as to mention it? Why am I getting so excited about it? Why am I stressing it?
It's all equal, no one's got rights over anyone.
No, because in our ummah, in our people, even in England, even in Norwich I witnessed it, and in Regent's Park, I've met people, not park people that mosque itself, people who say they are special and they don't have to worship like the ordinary Muslims. And others are justifying and say, yeah, he's different. He doesn't have to pray with us, or doesn't have to pray even. I even have come across people who say they don't have to pray at all because they're special. They have now reached such a height in their piety and so close to God. What's prayer for them? They're always with God. Who was closer to God than Muhammad, peace be on him? And he had to pray. وَعَبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Allah has commissioned and said to Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, worship your Lord until there comes to you what? The hour that is certain, al-yaqeen. That means until your death. No matter what your merits, no matter your status, Allah and the angels send prayers upon the Prophet. Even then the Prophet is not freed from his worship. وَعَبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى until يَأْتِيَكَ until it comes to you al-yaqeen, the hour that is certain. So until death, everybody is obliged to do worship. So all we want to know is, okay, I've fallen ill, I'm on a journey, or I'm pregnant, or I'm sick, or I'm busy, I'm taking exams, or whatever. Do I pray? Can I pray? Can I combine? Should I shorten? Can I get a mesa? That's different. But nobody becomes so special in front of God, in the eyes of Allah, that is absolved or freed from the duties. Exceptions are different to be understood and made up for. 5th point. Is it too much? Is it too much? No. Simple stuff, isn't it? Reminders, just reminders of fundamental things. As Muslims we cannot compromise, we must not. Laying the foundation and reasserting it. 5th, what's the highest distinction before Allah? The title I can have. What's the greatest meritorious title, accolade I can win? Term of distinction I can have in front of Allah? Yes, I was hoping one of them would answer. Jazakallah. But you're right, of course. Slave of God, Abd. To be Abdullah. Male or female? To be a slave of God. So the term slave, servant, is demeaning, isn't it? It's like, beneath me and you serve me. Of course, we are beneath even the prophets. And we serve Allah. But how do we serve Allah? He's free of all needs. We serve Allah by serving His creation. By looking after the world that He has created. So there was the hadith I mentioned. 2 sisters came and spoke to me because it is a confusing language the hadith uses. at this university in the talk, yesterday's morning talk, I mentioned the hadith. It sounded a little bit disturbing, off-putting. It's not the language normally we use. I said that the Prophet said, peace be on him, that the people, all people, are the children of Allah, children of God. So the sisters came and said, what do you mean children of God? It sounds like almost like Christian talking. Because we avoid language like that, father, children, like this. الناس عيال الله أحبهم إلى الله أرحمهم لعياله. So عيال, it's dependence. All of us are dependents. But we are all beloved of God. To the extent that Allah loves me more if I love His dependence more. And Allah loves you more than me if you love His dependence more than I do. That's what it means. It's about love. And we are all children of Allah in that sense. We all like that, yeah? So that's a hadith which is authentic by somebody from Jordan. Who was the great muhaddith in Jordan? Would you know? Can you guess? Al-Albani. He used to live there. Later in life he settled there in Amman. So yeah, Al-Albani. He's certified as Sahih. So, to Him, to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. And those who are near Him, not physically, near Him in faith, are not too proud to worship Him, nor are they weary of His worship. They glorify His praises night and day, and they never slacken to do so. And the word ibadah is used, signifying abd, which is a slave. So those who are nearest to Him, they are the slaves of Allah. And then you have many descriptions about how they are referred to in terms of those who drink from the fountain, which is specially made drink. It never gets you drunk or heady, zanjabil and all that. They're referred to as the abd of Allah, drinking according to their pleasure without measure. Okay? Abd. So to be a slave, that's what I want to be, that's what I would propose you would like to be, inshallah. That's what we do the circles for, to be slaves of Allah. We're trying to be humble, we're trying to lower ourselves, to be submissive to God. Problem is, if I think I have become so humble that I am now a spokesman for God in everything and what I say is always right, I actually become one who abuses others with God. And it corrupts me, because then I become somebody who's trying to have power and authority over others, and I think I'm using God as an instrument to oppress others. So the only thing that saves is this humility. It is true, much blood has been spent or shed throughout the ages in the name of God, or for religion, by both at least Jews and Christians and Muslims. Not so much Jews. Muslims and Christians. Jews have done, but not as much. Muslims and Christians. A lot of blood has been spent in the name of God and Lord and Jesus and whatnot. A lot of bloodshed. And it still carries on today. Religious intolerance. Okay? And sometimes we get some emotional, sometimes political like that. And if you don't like it, just next time when you feedback saying, we want to stop that, we don't like it. But I was going to refer to Pakistan. A lot of killing going on against Shia by the Sunnis, and hardly the other way around. And finally, the seventh point is we have to remove something called pride. We have to remove pride in worship. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ عُدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. Moreover, your Lord said, invoke me, I will respond to you. Call on me, I will answer you. Allah responds. How He responds is to be understood, which sometimes requires great patience. Sometimes it's miraculous, it's immediate, and we are uplifted and say, whoa, I prayed this morning, and this afternoon it came true. But not always. Sometimes 10 years I kept on praying, God never listens. Don't allow yourself to become frustrated like that. It's a test. Your Lord said, invoke me, I will respond to you. Those who are too proud to worship me. That is kibr, istikbar, pride, arrogance. They will surely enter Jahannam. And that's a word for Gehenna they use in the Hebrew Bible. It's a bad place. It used to be a rubbish tip or something. That word comes from somewhere where they burnt rubbish beside a fort or a monastery or something. But it's a place of fire and brimstone. It is hell. So, moreover, your Lord said, invoke me, I'll respond to you. Those who scorn my worship, they will surely enter hell in humiliation. Because if you think about it, pride is about standing tall artificially, sticking chest out, trying to be louder than one is. It's about trying to be big, more honorable than one deserves. So the humiliation accompanies it. It's not just a physical punishment, it's humiliation. The way we are made to look, reduced in our size even, stature, all of that, where we are placed, what we smell, what we eat or drink, all of that is to humiliate us as well, not in this life, in health I'm talking about. Yeah.
It's bad to be proud of yourself, yeah?
Huh?
But what about being proud of your children? Is that wrong?
Thank you very much, and we're going to finish very soon now. Time is actually out. I've covered the 7 points. Before you go, make sure you take the notes. All the details are there, references, everything. The question is an excellent question. That type of pride is not pride against God. It's about feeling happy and good. And precisely the same question was asked to the Prophet, peace be on him, by a certain man at that time, and said, but O Messenger of God, Ya Rasulullah, sometimes we feel happy about the clothes we wear, or look at my nice pair of shoes, is that pride? He said, no, pride is when you look down upon the people, and you repel the truth, repulse the truth. Batar al-haq, the rights of the truth, you ghamatun nas, you look down upon the people. I don't do that when I wear an expensive suit or a tie. I'm much richer than Yao. We don't do that. Okay, Jazakumullah, it's 4 o'clock. We have to finish, inshallah. Thank you. My email is mail@jimas.org. If ever you want to contact me, mail@jimas.org. Please be frank with me and give me feedback. Keep on coming. Next one is 2 weeks from now.
Sheikh, if there are people who join the class later, should they add their contact details as well?
If you have come later and have put your contact down, we need your email address and phone number, mobile phone, so we can text you if there's a cancellation or a program, just to keep you updated. So your email and phone number, please, before you go, and I'll pass these notes around, inshallah. Check one.